Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. Today we are wishing you a very Wasteland Christmas with Del Close, John Ostrander, Rick Magyar, Don Simpson, and Bill Wray. Cannot wait to share this hidden gem with you. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button and let's get right into it. I meant to look up who the artist for the cover with is, and I cannot read the name, but this is a very cool football cover. Football seems very Christmas, right? So this is my Christmas episode coming out on Christmas. Wasteland. I want to thank Brian Payne of Zinc Comics, Miles North, and other great comic strips for bringing this to my attention. He said he reads this Don Simpson Christmas story every year. I was aware of Wasteland and not aware of Don Simpson's involvement in this. I love this book. It is Wasteland. It is an anthology book. This is like a predecessor to like Vertigo. So it's sort of like, I'm guessing creator owned, but definitely suggested for mature readers. So it's an anthology of sort of dark, twisted, usually like cautionary tales. And it opens with this great story by John Ostrander and Bill Wray. And of course, a little cringe is that it's adapted from the Balian African folktale. So it's like, I'm guessing John Ostrander is some like middle-aged white dude. Who knows about his qualifications for adapting this story. However, this is a different time, and I feel that since like middle-aged white dudes were the only ones allowed to tell stories anyway, if they were sort of bringing, I mean, is it appropriation or is it awareness? I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've crossed the bridge, like now I feel like the people should bring their own stories to the table for sure. But I don't know. Anyway, it's like a very cool story anyway. It's based on a folk tale. Obviously, those kind of tales stand the test of time. I think of Christmas and like The Gift of the Magi or something like that. So it kind of ties into that. It's funny because like with these Vertigo-esque kind of books, this is pre-Vertigo, by the way. This is like 1988. So, obviously the reason I'm doing this video, and we'll get to that at the end, is the Don Simpson story at the back. And I'm guessing he's already getting a lot of accolades for Megaton Man and sort of like maybe an indie darling at this point, and that is possibly how he got involved with this project. I don't know, but he's very appropriate for it, and we'll get to that in a second. So anyway, this African tale, it was kind of reminding me, because this is like 1988, so I'm thinking like, is this like around Life Death Part 2, like the Storm story where she's going to Africa, like We Are the World is happening, like Africa is on the world's mind, like the whole situation in Africa. And it's funny, it was so like topical and popular and like the Buzz charity or whatever. And I'm wondering, like, how does Africa fare today? How many fucks do we give today? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, just the whole nature of this, the whole theme of this story going on here. So basically, this character, Nembu, is wondering, like, everybody dies around her. All she sees is death and poverty and hunger. And, so why? She just wants to ask God why. So she tries to build this, like, bridge to heaven so she can ask God why. And after several failed attempts, she cannot build this bridge to heaven to ask God this simple question of why do you let all this shit happen? Why is there so much, why is life so hard, basically? So then her she realizes she can't build a bridge to the sky, so she's going to find a high point around the world and possibly find it in another way. And appropriately enough, I don't know, it's so interesting to hold these things up to the mirror of time, because, this is 1988, and the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's so interesting because this would leave her to New York, to Trimpe Tower. Great homage to Herb Trimpe, by the way. Great Hulk artist, of course. However, obviously, it's a doppelganger analog metaphor for Trump Tower, the pinnacle of greed and like wealth and you know, just like the 80s, like the yuppies and the Reagan and like the disgusting, like, me generation. I know. We've gone from the me generation to the entitled generation. So, you know, what have we learned? I don't know. Is there a point to life? I just feel like we're these like freaking hamsters in a wheel sometimes. I didn't mean to go on this diatribe, by the way. Thanks for hanging in there, Don Simpson, because I know you're waiting for me to tear up your story at the end, and I will get there. But Trumpy Tower, obviously Trump Tower, right? So she takes this elevator to the top of Trump Tower, the bridge between heaven and earth. Like, how scary is that, you guys, right? So then she meets up with this construction worker who is giving me, who is this guy? Like, I feel like I've seen him in a Frank Miller Sin City, but he is definitely, obviously, some sort of avatar, metaphor, trope, sort of symbol happening here. You know, he's a construction worker working on Trumpy Tower. However, you know, he's obviously African, black, and, you know, very, very powerful looking. And he lays down the law, and she lets him know the question she is looking for. And he's like, yeah, how you hurting? She is like, I am alone. All my friends, family, all family have been taken from me. And this is the Michael Troy realness that we all need in our life. So what? How does that make you different from anybody else? Same damn thing happens to all of us. And wow, oh my God, like gutted, right? And I was just expecting, this is why I love this book. And I feel like this is sort of definitely like the joy, if not horror, of these types of sort of adult kind of anthologies is like harsh realities of life. Like, you think you're gonna get this great life lesson here, and you do in a way. Like, it's just like life sucks and it's hard, and it's just, you know, hopefully you make it through as undamaged as you possibly can. How's that for Christmas spirit, guys? All right, so let's get on to the meat and the bones of this soup. All I want for Christmas is the head of Edie Amin. This is a very dark Christmas, guys. So another Del Close, John Ostrander, Don Simpson, Laverne Kaczynski, Mike Gold, blasphemous sacrilege. I would like to point out, as viewers of my channel know, I'm low-key obsessed with Don Simpson. A late bloomer, like I've said, and I'll clear it up real quick because I feel like Wolverine explaining that he is the best artist at what he does, and what he does is very nice when I repeat myself sometimes. But this could be your first video, and if I go to the Jim Shooter School of Thought, I should belabor the obvious a little bit before we move forward. But I love Don Simpson. My limited exposure to him was an image of Megaton Man that immediately made me fall in love with his art style. And then I was peripherally aware of him, never privy to Megaton Man until recently. I'm doing a weekly uncovering of it. I should link it, maybe not, I don't know, whatever, look for it. If only there was something like a search engine that could help you find the rest of my Don Simpson videos. So anyway, I just love his satire. I love his art style. I think he's amazing. He's done a lot of great stuff. Megaton Man is where it's at, but it's like his peripheral stuff that is kind of fun too. So he's working, you know, he's a great writer. He's like, the thing, like another one of his biggest projects with Alan Moore in Pictopia, like, I feel like he totally could have done just as good, if not better, on his own. So he doesn't really need his collaborators. But sometimes you need to attach yourself to somebody. Like, he's an indie darling, so whatever. Maybe, who knows what his gateway to DC was and how he worked with DC. They recognized that, you know, they needed a fun, satirical artist. And Don Simpson's style is definitely evolving at this point. We're moving less away from the super cartoony aspect of Megaton Man, and getting more into the realistic. While there is still some of that, you know, caricature and sort of exaggeration going on. But look at the skill in this man's art. I'm sorry, but like, he doesn't cut any corners. It's like, so you got Santa's line at the mall, and you've got the escalator, you've got the whole floor, you've got the huge line, you've got the sexy Santa babes, you know? I mean, give till it hurts, Don Simpson. We know you always do. So then this kid, so the conceit of this story is basically that if Santa has a lot of helpers filling in, we've all sat on some perverted old drunk's lap you know, trying to earn a few extra coins for Christmas. And but if the real one is there, if you're lucky enough to sit in the real Santa Claus's lap, he has to honor your wish. And usually it's something innocuous, like, you know, a BB gun or, you know, a Barbie dream house that I never got. Fuck you, Santa. I'm offered. My sister got it. I lived vicarious. Okay. So, this little kid who looks like Calvin and Hobbes, clear doppelganger. I mean, we were at the height of Calvin and Hobbes fever. One of the comments Don Simpson made and cracked me up, that made me say kind of like fuck you at the same time, he was jealous of my discovering the mid-'80s for the first time. Which I am through you, through the lens of Don Simpson. But we have Calvin and Hobbes, who, this is the real Calvin and Hobbes. So if he were like some smart-ass punk kid, he says, I want the head of Idi Amin, who is like a dictator. And that just goes to show like where my head was at. And like I gave a crap about history. Never heard of him before. Embarrassed to say it. I'm sure he's a huge dictator that is out there with Mussolini and the rest of them. But anyway, so he wants the head of Idi Amin. So Santa's got a problem. He has to grant the wish. This is no BB gun. He has to go to the North Pole, regroup. By the way, artistically speaking, once again, and I don't know because you haven't commented on this yet, Don, but my comparisons to how the similarities, and this is like compliment in the biggest form, just because I never noticed before, but there are similarities, and I'm guessing it might be from a European sort of graphic approach, is the Frank Whiteley. Just in that I like how you can do like an establishing shot like this and just know exactly how to crowd the space. You know, I love the windows. These look like signature Don Simpson windows right there. I'm becoming very adept at your style and knowing. And it's fun to see the evolution. And once again, you know, I love the silhouettes. Great spotting of black. See, this is a great establishing shot here. This is giving me like Frank Whiteley, Grant Morrison vibes. And it's a shame that while you've worked with Ass Muncher or Alan Moore or whatever his moniker nicknames are. And I love this too. Look at this roided up precursor fortune teller Don Simpson predicting Image Comics again. I mean, straight out of the pages of Image Comics right here, right? Love this guy. Love all this art. It's amazing. And true to his word. And that's what I love about tales like this too. It's like, I mean, Santa, of course, is not going to bring Calvin and Hobbes the head of Idi Amin, but he does. Can you believe it? War is bad. Great silhouettes. Amazing. I mean, this is freaking classic. How have I never heard of this before? Like, thank you, Brian Payne, for bringing this to my existence. And this is a classic. I feel like I will read this right after I finish Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Frosty, Rudolph, and everything else. I will read Wasteland, number 16, y'all. The last issue in the series. Like, I would love to see, like, I don't know, DC. Bring it back. Do something innovative that's fun and interesting. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, that seemed like a sour note. Loving the art in this, right? Alright, you guys. So that was another grand... I hate to glaze over this beautiful Rick Magyar work in the back here, but, I mean, Michael Jackson, Guns, Bullet Boys. Guess they never happened, eh? I feel like I was working at a record store when this came out, and yeah, no. Okay, so anyway, a very Merry Christmas, a very Wasteland Christmas with Del Close, John Ostrander, Michael Davis, Rick Magyar, Dandy Don Simpson, and Bill Wray. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button, and I'll bring you more later.